Hello, everyone, and greetings from our first Human Interest Edition, socialbytecc.com. We have Running Joe, Joseph Lee Ortiz, on the line, and he's going to be telling us a little bit about his 1,500-mile adventure from California back to his hometown here in Aransas Pass. Joe, how's it going?
I'm not doing too bad, actually. It's going pretty good right now.
That's great. Hey, Joe, wanting to just kind of get a little bit of history and background about who you are, and I know you come from the South Texas area. If you could just give us a little bit of background about where you've been and you know, where you're going moving forward later on. But we'd like to kind of open up with some history.
Well, I'm a 2001 graduate of Aransas High School. In high school, I ran cross country, I ran track, played football and basketball. While in school, basketball was my primary sport. Did enjoy running. In 2003, I joined the Navy, and then from there I went kind of all over the place. Spent about a year in Pensacola, 6 months in Virginia, 2.5 years in Alaska, and I just finished off in San Diego, California. But while in San Diego, I was overseas for 9 months and things like that.
Oh, cool. Now, were you a lifelong resident of Aransas Pass before you joined the Navy?
There was a 5-year intermission. My stepdad was actually active duty military. He was a Marine, so we lived out in Fallbrook, California for, I want to say, 4 years before we moved back to Aransas.
Okay, cool. All right. So do you still have family and ties back here in South Texas?
Big time. My little sister actually just graduated from Aransas Pass High School this year, and my mom and dad still live there. And for the most part, I would say probably about 70% of my family's still in the area. So, Aransas Pass will always be home.
That's cool. You know, we've seen the news stories about what you've been doing, what you've been up to for the last month or so, or a little bit over a month, and it's just a great story. And we'd like to kind of get, just kind of hear your story, talk about the genesis of how it started, how it came to be, and if you could just kind of give us the high points and the low points of the adventure, that'd be great. I'd love to talk about that.
Oh, for sure. The funny part about it is that the whole idea of running home started, I want to say, back in 2005. I read a book called The Ultra Marathon Man, and I still had a passion for running, but it hadn't taken over yet. I was, doing small little races, things like that. I was running on a pretty consistent basis. But then I read the book, and it just, it grabbed a hold of me.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of running, like, really distances just seemed like something awesome to do. From there, I ran my first 50-mile race. It didn't go very well, but I ran it, and I finished.
Yeah.
And then it took several years to finally, push myself to do it. My motorcycle accident, separating from the military and dealing with disability, back pain and knee pains like that, it kind of pushed me to finally do something, because running became no more a hobby. It became my pain reliever. Because if I'm not running, I'm in pain.
Wow. Which
sounds a little weird given my disabilities, but running, like I've said 1,000 times, it is my pain reliever. If I run, I feel great. If I go too long without running, I start hurting again. My back, my knee, my hip. So it helps. And one day I decided, I'm going to make this happen. And I figured with my little sister graduating, I was going to be graduating the day before from college. And then my 30th birthday happening all at the same time frame, I was like, May sounds like a great time to do it.
Now, I'm assuming this is a commitment that when you make, you got to kind of do some planning and get some people in place to help you along the way. How did you plan for that? How did that all kind of transpire?
That was probably the hardest part. I mean, because asking someone to take out, it was going to end up taking a big chunk of time for them. Some people a week, some people 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
At first, a lot of people were all about it. People were like, yeah, I'm going to help you out. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And then as time progressed and time went on, this came up or that came up. Hey, I can't do this because this happened, and so on and so forth. I got lucky that two really good friends of mine were, they planned it, and they told me, we will be there the first 2 weeks. You don't have to worry about us. We're going to be there. And then my girlfriend, she planned to be there the last 2 weeks. So, it kind of worked out in my favor having, those individuals ready in my life.
Yeah.
Other than that, I got lucky that people were generous along the way.
Yeah.
Some people offered me Gatorade here in town, if I was running to a town, or they offered me water. The reception we got in some of the towns was really great. Some people just a lot of times give me weird looks, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously we touched some folks because they gave us things here and there.
Wow. Now, did you guys have somebody running point and kind of preparing the towns that were coming up? Hey, there's this guy walking, running from California to Texas. Can we have some support or anything like that, or is just people that you kind of saw you doing it?
They actually just kind of saw me do it. Unfortunately, since we kind of had a skeleton crew,
Mm-hmm.
it was just people would see us as we were getting closer to town, as
Mm-hmm.
people were driving along the freeways and stuff like that. So there really wasn't much preparation,
Mm-hmm.
advanced to it. If we would have had a bigger group, yeah, it would have been possible. But
Mm-hmm. Did
since I
y'all
only had about 2 or 3 people with me at any time, it was really hard to do something like that.
did you guys have any signs or anything on the vehicle, kind of just letting people know?
The RV was actually the RV that we had for the trip. It had signs all over it.
Oh, cool.
Had our website, had our Facebook page.
Oh, okay, that's
The entire
awesome.
trip, there was a sign on the back of it that said "Caution under ahead." My little brother and my girlfriend decided to have fun with it and got orange fluorescent paint
Uh-huh.
and put my website on the side of it. So it really stood out. People, everyone noticed because my fan base kind of grew along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, was there a specific moment, on the adventure that you can really think about and just think this is the high point. This is the greatest point of the adventure.
The absolute highest point would have to be the final day, mainly because obviously the journey's over, but
Mm-hmm.
it was more or less the reception I got back home.
Yeah.
I expected people to be there, mostly friends, real close friends and family,
Mm-hmm.
but the people that showed up in masses, it was overwhelming, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
As soon as I hit the city limits, you saw people standing out with flags, you saw kids cheering, you saw signs, and there were people lined up along the road all the way through town until we finished.
Yeah.
And then I found out that the Patriot Guard riders were going to be there, and then 2 of the local motorcycle clubs were going to be there. It's like the Banditos,
Yeah.
a real big major motorcycle club. The fact that they were going to be there meant something to me.
Yeah.
Being a member of the motorcycle club myself,
Mm-hmm.
and my uncle was the president of one. So it's like getting that, that kind of reception in my hometown. It was overwhelming,
Yeah. I
to
bet
be
it was
honest with
awesome.
you.
And did you get the just adrenaline rush as you're running through and just forget about the pain and the the 1,500 miles that you just come off of? Was it one of those experiences?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of any major run, a marathon, a 5K, anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
the final stretch, you always get that endorphin high because you're going to finish and
Yeah.
you're almost done.
Yeah.
And as soon as I hit the sign that says "Welcome to Rand's Pass," I got that feeling. My heart started pounding, and all the long races I've done, anything over a marathon,
Mm-hmm.
right towards the end, you get kind of emotional. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes your eyes water. It hits you. You just accomplished something.
Yeah.
And then, that was that point for me.
Yeah.
As soon as I hit the city limit sign, I had to run up and I slapped my hand on it.
Yeah.
Because, it symbolized the end of this journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was just overwhelming just seeing all those people. And it was kind of hard because my little brothers were running with me, and I had a couple friends come out.
Uh-huh.
And I've always been a real strong finisher, no matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter how long I've been running or whatever. I always had that final kick in me. So it was kind of hard to keep myself back so I wouldn't leave anybody because
Yeah.
I wanted a lot of people to experience it with me as I was finishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was an awesome feeling. I mean, nothing could compare to that.
That's okay. Now, was there ever a time, in the journey, where, man, you're thinking to yourself, what was I thinking? Where you just wanted to just pack it up, get in the RV, and let's go.
At some days I'd say after the first couple of days, yeah, it was pretty much like that every day because there'd be a point where it gets really, really hot during the day,
Yeah.
and you felt like you were just baking,
Yeah.
or my legs would be hurting, or my calf would hurt, things like that. It's just, and I'm tired. You just feel exhausted.
Yeah.
But like I've told some people, it's why you're doing it that matters.
Yeah.
No matter how bad you hurt, it's what you're doing it for. and the whole run, but it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was for the Wounded Warrior Project. Susan G. Coleman. It was for all these people that suffer from diabetes.
Yeah.
Kids that suffer from obesity. And you think about those people, and it helps you push you through. And the fact that I got cousins and friends overseas right now in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about them because, in the long run, there's always a possibility they could be the ones that the program's helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think about those things. You try not to worry about the pain. You start thinking about others. You try to think outside the box. You don't think about what's ahead of you. Think about the people that you're helping.
Yeah. What kind of physical effects does a trek like this have on the body? Where you're pushing. What did you push? About 40 miles a day, something like that.
Pretty close to it. There were a couple of days where we only did like a half marathon or a marathon, depending on the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Or depending on if something happened, like the RV went down, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It does take a toll on you. I woke up sore pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of like once you started to get moving, the soreness would go away, or it just kind of would subside and you felt okay.
Yeah.
I did have pains. My calves would tighten up from time to time. My feet swelled up at one point. It got so bad that there was a point where I walked for the entire day. I did, I think it was like 52 miles, and I walked the entire day.
Wow.
Because I couldn't run. So, I mean, it takes a toll on you, and emotionally it gets to you, especially if you have high hopes of running that day, and then, it all gets smashed.
Mm-hmm.
You get a little irritated, you get a little aggravated.
So, Joe, we know that you were wounded in an auto accident, and that you lived with some chronic pain for a while, and that you still live with chronic pain unless you're up and running around. My question is, what kind of advice do you have for the person that right now that's listening that is living with chronic pain?
Honestly, there's really, for the most part, really nothing you can do about pain. It's gonna be there in some way or form. You can take the pills, you can try physical therapy, and for most people, physical therapy and the pills will work. But for me, I'd say don't let it control your life. Try not, there's always something that you can do. Physical activity may not be it, but do whatever you can to try to, not to think about it. If you let it control your life, I mean, it becomes overwhelming.
Wow.
Maybe for me, it's running. It could be biking. It could be hiking. It could be swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you have to do, just find that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that
would be my best advice.
Yeah, I think that's some really good advice. And I think it's important to keep moving. You got to keep moving. Now, what does the future hold for you, Joe? What's your next great adventure?
Well, at the moment, I got approached with an idea of starting a run back home in Aransas. Maybe like a small 5K, a 10K, maybe a half marathon, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which that would be probably an awesome achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Have a run dedicated to me that's done every year, because that promotes health and fitness to
Mm-hmm.
the young adults in town. As for my next real big adventure, honestly, at the moment, I got approached with a grand idea a couple months ago of running from the most northern tip of Alaska to run to Miami,
Uh-huh.
Florida. So it'd be from North America to the most southern point of North America. So that's a possibility. But for something like that, I think I'd have to find a sponsor.
Yeah.
So that I could actually afford to miss that kind of work.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of, the potential is endless. I think before I can do something like that, I'm going to try to run across the United States.
Yeah.
I think that's the next biggest adventure.
That's great, man.
We'll see.
That's incredible. I mean, that really puts you, you're really in, the less than probably 2% of humanity, where you can do that. It's just amazing. Joe, it has been an honor. It's been a privilege. I hope everything works out for your plans going into the future. I hope that your awareness campaign for the charities that you sponsor just begins to flourish and grow. You put a lot of dedication into what you do, and it really is inspiring to hear your story. And I just want to thank you so much for spending some time with us.
It is my pleasure. Anything we can do to help, that's what I'm about.
We hope you enjoyed this inaugural edition of SocialByteCC.com's Human Interest Edition. Again, special thanks to Running Joe, Joseph Lee Ortiz. You can find him at www.runningjoe.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/runningjoe24. Check out the charities he supports and make a donation to the cause. Also to our program sponsor, Advanced Temporaries, Inc., your partner in staffing. To Outside the Box, a marketing and promotional specialty company. If you need to get your name, your logo, your information out, get a hold of Kathy or Jeff at OTB. You can find them at www.otbforyou.com. That's www.otb4u.com. Or call them at 361-906-0216. And a special thanks to our associate producers, Imagine Support Services. Training, advocacy, and support for your loved one with special needs. Call them at 361-851-0311 or visit them on the web at www.imaginesupports.com. Again, that's 361-851-0311 or on the web at www.imaginesupports.com. That's Imagine with the letter M, not the I. Remember, you are our network. Like and share us on Facebook. Follow and retweet us on Twitter. Help us get the word out. Until next time, friends, God bless you and our very best and our very warmest regards. Have a great day.